Hey y'all, JR here. We're going to take one last stab at the Patriot in the Dark hashtag blind challenge. If you don't know what the blind challenge is, Patriot in the Dark challenged all of us sighted shooters to, while blindfolded, field strip, disassemble, and reassemble a firearm while doing the best we can to describe it so a visually impaired person or someone who's 100% blind can follow along and assemble and reassemble their firearm and properly maintain it. My blindfold on here. Fair warning, this could be a shit show because I'm not going to edit it and we're just going to do it. For orientation purposes, we're going to imagine that the firearm is in your shooting hand and pointed down range. The left side of your body, we will be considering the left side of the pistol. First thing you're going to want to do with any firearm before you start really doing anything else with it is make sure the weapon's unloaded. With the Beretta 92F, the easiest way to do that is going to be to follow the front of the grip up the frame till you find the trigger guard. Directly behind the trigger guard, there's going to be kind of an oblong, rounded button. You're going to push that button in. You'll hear the magazine disengage and it'll fall free of the firearm. This gun is loaded. The second thing you're going to do is go from the magazine release. You're going to go straight up until you reach the slide stop. With your thumb on the slide stop, pushing the slide stop up towards the slide, you're going to make a lobster grip and grab the textured area of the slide at the back just below the sights, just in front of the safety decocker. Ooh, I about ran out of breath. And you're going to push it directly back. You'll hear the round drop from the chamber onto your work surface. I did grab the round and put it over here with the magazine. Now that it's open, I'm going to inspect the chamber with my pinky to verify and double check the weapon is empty. I'm also going to verify from the bottom with a finger that there is no magazine in the firearm. Now that the weapon's been verified empty, we're going to drop the slide release or slide stop, closing the firearm. Let's do a little description here quick before we take it apart. On the back side of the gun, or we'll basically say the grip, you're going to follow the grip up until you run into the dovetail. Above the dovetail, you're going to find a hammer. Directly in front of the hammer on the left and the right side of the slide, you're going to find a safety decocker lever. With the gun in safe, the lever will be down, facing down towards the bottom of the magwell. You will not be able to cock the hammer on the firearm. If you disengage the safety with a push of your thumb, you'll feel that lever goes horizontal, running the same lines as the slide. You can now cock the hammer. With the hammer back, the safety off, if you take your thumb and push that decocker lever down towards the magwell, you'll hear the gun decock and the hammer will drop safely. Across the top of the gun, there's going to be obviously a rear sight. On the left and right side, you'll feel some slide serrations. Past that, there's going to be the big open top slide on the Beretta. So you'll just feel the barrel. There really is no ejection port or anything like that. You run into the front sight and then obviously the muzzle. You follow down along past that. You'll feel the very tip of the guide rod just underneath the barrel. You continue down the frame. It's nice and smooth. There is no rail accessory on the original 92. You follow that to the trigger guard, which has a little bit of texturing on it, which wraps back down to the front of the grip frame, which also has a little bit of vertical line texture cut into it. Now to disassemble the gun, we're going to follow the front of the grip frame up to the trigger guard. We're going to follow the trigger guard around to the front of the grip frame and the slide. You'll feel on the right side of the firearm there's an oval button that disengages the takedown lever. You're going to push that takedown lever, you're going to push the button for the takedown lever in, and on the left side of the pistol there's going to be, I guess, for lack of a better word, a lever that's horizontal with the frame. So you're going to, on the right side, push in the oval button with your first finger, push it into the frame. On the left side with your thumb, you're going to flip the disengaged lever down. You'll hear the slide pop loose of the frame, and you'll feel it. Now that that's unlocked, you can slide the frame off of the lower. I'm going to take and set the lower off to the side here. Try and keep it in frame. Then I'm going to take the slide. I'm going to flip it upside down so the sights are facing your workbench. The barrel's going to be pointed to my left. The muzzle, I should say, the dangerous end of the Bang Bang is going to be on my left side. You'll feel there's a guide rod spring, the back side of the guide rod, and the locking block, which has a little button behind it, and that just locks the breech together on a Beretta. So to remove the guide rod spring, I like to take my thumb, and at the back side where the guide rod meets the locking lug, I push that forward towards the barrel end, the open end of the barrel, the non-breech end. That'll be the left. Push that in with your thumb, lift up a little bit, and make sure you don't let it go, because this thing will go flying across the room. You get that done, you'll be able to pull them both out, and then you can separate the spring from the guide rod. The guide rod does have one small rounded end and one side that is a little bigger than the spring and kind of feels like a plunger. That's going to be your back side that goes towards the locking block. The spring itself doesn't really have any differences from one end to the other, so the orientation isn't going to be real important. Next, we're going to remove the barrel. Now, to remove the barrel, I just reach down, and on the locking block of the barrel, you'll feel there's a little tab that flips up and down. I just pinch that with my first two fingers, pull straight up, and then slide the barrel back and to the right, and it lifts right out. So that's the basic disassembly of the Beretta 92FS. So for reassembly purposes, it's really important that when you go to put the barrel back in, this locking block has kind of a wing on a pivot that pops up and down, and then just below the breech on the, I guess it'd be right-hand side of the barrel, not the Bang Bang end, but the loading end, there's going to be a little plunger or a button that pushes in and out. You want to make sure that that's pulled all the way out, and that the ears or the tab on this locking block is pushed down and flush with the barrel. Otherwise, you'll never get the frame back on the slide. Now, to reassemble, I'm going to take, with the slide still facing up, with the sights facing my workbench, and with the open top, there's not a whole lot to this. You're going to take the barrel, lower it down into position, line it up with your finger into the large hole, which is on the bottom, which is technically the top, but it's upside down. You're going to line that up with your finger, slide it in, and then just slowly move it forward, and you'll feel the barrel drop into place. And then I like to push it back towards the right to make sure it's fully in battery. After you get that done, you're going to take and put the spring back on the guide rod. And there is a little cup that is just above the barrel that the spring is going to set into. So you set the front of the spring into that. And then basically you just push it towards the muzzle and down onto the barrel and the front side of that locking bolt or locking lug there. And you'll feel it snap into place. And you're always going to be a little careful when you let go of it so it doesn't go flying. Like that. And then we're going to take and put the frame back, or put the slide back on the frame. Now when I do this, I'm going to cock the hammer out of the way because we're going to do it upside down on our workbench. Learn that trick from you, Patriot. Thanks, buddy. So we're going to work on getting these lined up, and you'll feel them slide together. Just a little wiggle and a little slide. And now that you get it lined up, you're going to flip the firearm over, and then you'll hear it as you push the slide the rest of the way onto the frame. The hammer will actually drop. Hear the hammer drop, push the slide all the way to the rear, then go back to that left side of the front of the trigger guard, the front left side of the trigger guard, and you're going to flip that lever back up so it's horizontal with the frame again, or the slide. They run the same way, perpendicular. I don't know what the fucking word is. Anyway, you flip that lever back up, guns back together, run a safety check, slide stop works, it releases and drops, safety functions, trigger functions, decocker works. There it is, you guys. That's my 92FS blindfolded field strip. I know it was kind of a shit show, but I really do appreciate everybody stopping by. I really appreciate Patriot challenging us to this. Hopefully we can all learn something. It'll make us better YouTubers in general. I think it'll help to strengthen our community. Shit, you guys, support your local animal shelters. Adopt a pet when you're ready. I'll see y'all on the next one.